What is going on, guys? It's Adam A.K. Marf, and this is Marfoogle News. Today, we're going to be talking about, of course, I ran to the store and a bunch of other stuff that is absolutely horrifying and some fun stuff as well. So stick around. We'll be right back right after this. Nothing in this show should be considered legal, medical, or financial advice. If views of the callers can differ considerably and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of myself, Dex, or anyone else on the show, you should always do your own research and consult with professionals. The internet is full of fake news, so please take everything with a grain of salt. All right, what is going on, guys? It is Adam A.K. Marf, and this is Marfoogle News. Today, we have a ton to go over in a short amount of time, including some Pentagon stuff, some I ran to the store stuff, and all sorts of other things in between. So stick around. First off, though, if you're new here, make sure to share this out and like. And if you're not subscribed, obviously it's free for you to just push that button. And then, of course, we have my co-host Dex we're going to introduce here in a second. But remember, you can follow along with the show. In fact, it's very easy to navigate on our website. Once you go to marfooglenews.com, you'll see this thumbnail. You will not see it coming. Of course, in the blink of the eye is the title for today's show. And when you click that, it will actually go through to the website with all of our links. We have every single source, including the videos, documents, pictures, anything that we show you here is going to be linked there. Again, that is so that you know exactly where your information is coming from. And then as well, if there's anything that we cannot be neutral on or, relatively neutral on, we actually put it on our web-only content. If it's one direction or the other, we try to, of course, put that on the web only. We want to keep this show as neutral as possible so everybody can enjoy it. But there is some pretty extreme stuff that is going on right now. And again, that's all on the website. As far as the sponsors and affiliates, we are independent. We don't have any multi-channel network. We don't have a back. You guys are our backbone. So if you do want to support the channel or get any of the products that we have, that helps us financially. So we appreciate it. Commissions on, say, like Amazon.com, that all helps us, and it doesn't cost you a thing. And then, of course, EMP Shield, Nord, all of that, that, of course, helps us as well. So thank you. Without further ado, let's bring in Dex, my internet brother and co-host with the most O.
Why, hello, Adam, and hello, Foogle fam.
That I sounded better in my head. The co-host with the, it just doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't go.
It was almost there.
And one more little reminder, you can get notifications directly from us, push notifications directly to your phone, so it will pop up on that very top screen, so then you know when we go live. Our live schedule varies. I've got 4 kids. Dex has kids and grown kids, and he's got a whole life himself as well. Again, we're not multi-million backed news. We are 2 guys in our basements with laptops, as somebody would, like Mark Dice would say. So let's get it going. Of course, the FBI is breaking into corporate computers to remove malicious code. It says the FBI has the authority right now to access privately owned computers without their owner's knowledge or consent, and to delete software. It's part of a government effort to contain the continuing attacks on corporate networks running Microsoft Exchange software. And it's an unprecedented intrusion that's raising legal questions about just how far the government can go. On April 9th, the United States District Court for the Southern District of Texas approved a search warrant allowing the U.S. Department of Justice to carry out the operation. It says the software the FBI is deleting is malicious code installed by hackers to take control of a victim's computer. Hackers have used the code to access vast amounts of private email messages and to launch ransomware attacks. It says that the authority and the Justice Department relied on, and the way that the FBI carried out the operation set important precedents. They will also raise questions about the power of courts to regulate cybersecurity without the consent of the owners of the targeted computers. Dex, you are our tech expert. You've worked in corporate world in the tech industry. What do you have to say about this? Like, as far as them doing this, is this something new, or is this something that we're just now paying attention to?
This is the first I've heard of this. I mean, obviously, there's some very large companies that have that work with, the government, and the government may step in and help, solve problems when it relates to them. But this is the first I've heard of the government just randomly going into, corporations' computers and taking control or deleting software or doing things. Now you might think, oh, well, it's nice of them to do that. And yeah, it's maybe it's the right thing to do to take out this, these bad hacks and things like that. But I'm sure there are security experts in all these corporate companies that are going, hey, you shouldn't be doing that. Like, I didn't tell you to come into my computer network here and start monkeying around, right?
Well, and again, the whole reason why we have laws and warrants in the first place is because, the government is widespread, and it's run by different people, different human beings, and there's different weaknesses in that chain. And there could be somebody that is, say, influenced by another country, or, we could have spies in our internal thing. That's why it has to go through this process. So it's not just one or two people or one agency that is in charge of this stuff. Because think about how they could use that. Even if it was the FBI, we've known that, obviously the FBI has had several problems over the last 5 years, especially the last 5 years. I mean, like, we've seen them mess up a bunch. So for them to just go into corporations like that, who's to say that they haven't been influenced by some other kind of government, that somebody wasn't paid off?
And even if their intentions are absolutely good, and even if they had Superman on their side and was the super geek and could solve all problems, there's a fundamental issue here that there's, sort of laws that are in place that protect us and protect our privacy, protect companies' rights, protect, private citizens' rights that, can't just be trampled on without a warrant. There, a judge has to rescind those rights by following, some sort of process that says, yeah, there's a legal reason to do this. And this doesn't seem to follow that necessarily.
Now, part of the reason why they say they're doing this is because of ransomware attacks. Of course, a ransomware attack is where, where it encrypts the victim's files and then holds the keys to the decrypt for them for ransom. So like, hey, we're going to take all of your files, and if you want them back, you have to pay 1 million Bitcoin or something like that, right? That's exactly what this is had happen. Several companies have been hit, and some of them have actually paid. You know how they say we don't negotiate with terrorists or whatever? They have negotiated with these activists or hacktivists, as they call them. It says, since at least January 2021, hacking groups have been using zero-day exploits, meaning previously unknown vulnerabilities in Microsoft Exchange and Access email accounts. It says that the hackers use this access to insert web shells, software that allows them to remotely control the compromised systems and networks. Tens of thousands of email users and organizations have been affected, not to mention all 5 military branches and the Pentagon. So we're talking about national security level hack, and they're, of course, pointing a lot of it towards Russia and others, but a lot of us think that there's way more to this story. Also, when you look at some of the recent things that have come out about the CIA, even their recruitment videos, you guys should go check out the DICE video there. It really is kind of telling about how they could very well be part of some of this turmoil that's going on right now, which means that they could also be kind of setting up some stuff there. And, that wouldn't be, I wouldn't put it past them, I guess. That's the only thing. I'm just asking questions here. On March 2nd, 2021, Microsoft announced that a hacking group code named Hafnium had been using multiple zero-day exploits to install web shells with unique file names and paths This makes it challenging for administrators to remove the malicious codes. It says, even with the tools and patches Microsoft and cybersecurity firms have released to assist the victims. So it says that the FBI is accessing hundreds of these mail servers in corporate networks, and it says that the search warrant allows the FBI access to the web shells. Enter the previously discovered password for a web shell, make a copy for evidence, and then delete the web shell. The FBI, though, was not authorized to remove any malware that hackers might have installed during the breach or otherwise access the contents of servers. Just to break it down, they didn't have a warrant to do this stuff, and they did it. It's every single day we are seeing more and more that they are pushing the boundaries on what they can do. And I mean, honestly, if you look at what laws that the government is breaking, they're breaking pretty much every one that was set up to protect against the government. So that's kind of freaky in a lot of people's eyes.
Well, it did. Hang on. It did say in that one sentence, the search warrant allows. So it does sound like there is a warrant for a specific thing, but it's pretty broad to say that there's this warrant that you can go into any corporate computer, right? And I mean, just flip this around. Think of it as akin to, oh, we think there's a rash of break-ins in your neighborhood, so we're going to install a guard inside your house, right? Without without your permission, without anything, and they're just going to stand there and watch over everything and make sure you're safe. I mean, some people may want that.
So they have, under the warrant, they have the right to grab it, copy it, and delete it, but they didn't have a warrant to install things. And again, they're installing and removing other stuff from their systems. That's incredible. I mean, like, how do people let this stuff slide? I don't know. Either way. Jerry Campanello Jr. says, when are you going to make YouTube of your songs? I would push play to listen, especially random words. I do like all you say otherwise. Thank you again, Jerry Carpinello Jr. Actually, I've never seen your name before, so thank you so much, and I appreciate that. I just do it on the spot, and it really is like a random thing that's just put together. So everybody keeps asking. We're trying to do something with it. Susan Donahue says, if I were a betting woman, my money would be on hashtag Team Humanity. P.S. I'm learning to play the saxophone. Had my first lesson on Monday, feeling real Groundhog Day-ish. So saxophone and some other instruments that have that kind of same sound, I just absolutely love. Ever since I was a kid, when I watched Simpsons, and some of you older folks are out there saying, oh, Simpsons when you were a kid. Simpsons has actually been around for, 30 years or something like that? But I remember that Lisa played the saxophone, and I actually really wanted to learn how to play it. What a cool instrument. And then Jimmy Meeks says, for the kids, don't ever do that, though. Don't. Thank you so much, Jimmy Meeks. Appreciate that. But don't do it for that. Do it if you want to support the channel and push us forward. Again, I do appreciate that. People just get all over our case for every little thing. So thank you, Jimmy Meeks. I appreciate that. And then Rhonda McKay says, the world is a very weird place right now. Yes, it is. And then Doc Bill says, out of control Chinese rocket expected to fall to Earth in the coming days. My daughter caught video of what we first thought. It was grainy footage at first until I got the actual file from her phone. And I thought it was the Chinese rocket, but apparently it was Starlink. We might show it. Dex, do we have that, or did we not put it in? I assume we did.
I have it, and I'll throw it in screener for you.
Maybe just leave this. I don't know if there's a way to just leave the sound out, but it was definitely Starlink. Now looking at the footage, but it's pretty crazy. All by itself, seeing Starlink in person and seeing that line in the stars, going past the stars, way up there, and it's just a white line it's going past. It's really crazy, actually. And then we have Stephen McMahon says you pronounce it Steven. Stephen, well, thank you instead of Stephen McMahon. Thank you. I appreciate that. And Brian Lahole, thank you guys all for the support. Alex Galagos, I'll get to you in a second. But here, another thing that we have been telling you, that obviously the grocery prices are going up steeply. And this is going to hurt even more. Once the moratoriums end and everybody starts getting evicted, this is like the worst that you can add on to a situation like this. Right now, it seems like we're at this lull, like where everybody is kind of off of the edge with their toes holding them up from falling off a cliff. And that's really how it is. I know a lot of people that are going to be evicted the second the moratorium ends. I have friends that, will literally be out on the streets the second that ends, and it's not even their fault. They were forced to quit their restaurant jobs for 6 months. There were certain places here in Seattle where their place of work never even came back. A lot of restaurants closed. So it was like not only were they forced to stop, they tried to find other jobs in their field and they couldn't because all of them were closed. And then they, of course, didn't get kicked out because of the moratorium, but now they owe 8 months, 6 months back rent. And who on a server kind of payroll or any payroll that's under a lot is going to be able to pay that? So I really feel for the people out there that were forced to quit, could not work, basically told that you are not allowed to work, and now this moratorium is going to end, and we already know that there's going to be record evictions, unlike we've ever seen. So think about that. Think about the homeless situation right now as we speak. In almost every downtown urban area, there's just hundreds of thousands of homeless folks already. Think about then once the moratorium, you're going to see a lot more normal people, people that aren't, drug addicts or PTSD veterans or kind of the usual crowd. You're going to see a lot more people that are well-to-do, but they're just out on the street. And to add to this, now the grocery bills are going way up, and this is really sad. This is a sign in my eyes that we are very much closer to this entire kind of collapse. Dex, what do you have to say about this?
Well, for certain, I'm seeing it. I know probably everybody else is seeing it. I just saw somebody show that there's even hidden changes in pricing, not just raising the prices, but in a specific example, I think it was Costco paper towels. They just decided to change the number of towels that were in the package so that you probably wouldn't notice. You think it's the same amount, but in reality, the price stayed the same. They just didn't give you as many sheets. So all of these little things are happening, obviously, because, I guess inflation is going up, or the cost to produce and manufacture these things, or to get them out and sell them. It's going to affect us all.
It says your grocery list could be eating away at your budget without you noticing. Nearly everything at the store, from beef to cereal to fruit and veggies, costs more than it did a year ago. That can be expected of just obviously year after year, you get less for your money, or it's more expensive, right? But now it is pretty extreme. Also, like Dex said, they're changing things. I've even noticed it in several things that I, eat. There's a Talente gelato that used to have fudge in the middle. Now they have fudge, and basically they half the fudge and they put 3 times as much cookies. You see with ice cream containers, a pint isn't even a pint anymore. Milk, they make these smaller containers. All sorts of juices are now in these weird containers that look like they're bigger, but it's actually less content. So, I mean, it's like, why do they even do that? I would rather have them raise the price and keep the size the same. It's really annoying when you buy something and it's less than what you had last week. I don't know about you guys, though. I mean, what is the point of making it smaller so you can make it cheaper when you're getting physically less? I don't know. For groceries, that doesn't, to me, it makes less sense. For something else, I get it. If you just want one and you don't want, Costco sizes. But still, we're seeing it, and is it affecting you? Let us know in the comments down below. How is there something that you noticed that went extremely up, or that they cheaped out on or changed? Put it in the comments below on the replay, especially you replay watchers. I thank you for watching every single show. And then we have, of course, the translator denies being the person who split up the Bill and M. So if you haven't heard already, in the last couple days, they announced their split. These two, extremely, extremely rich elites have now announced that they are splitting. And now there are stories about this woman who is a translator. It says that she is claiming that she is not the reason. It says a translator who works for the B&M Foundation has denied wild rumors on social media that she was involved in their divorce. Ji Shelley Wang, who has worked as an interpreter for the foundation since March of 2015, took to social media to deny speculation that she had more than a professional relationship with B&M. It says Wang, 36 years old, purportedly wrote on Chinese social media site Weibo, "I thought that the rumors would go away by themselves, but I did not expect the rumors to become more and more crazily spread." Pfft, are you kidding? Like, have you been awake for the last 5 years? She continued, quote, "How many books can I read? So why spend time on the unfounded rumors?" I don't know what that... I'm going to read some books. I would like to thank everyone for their concern and help in dispelling the rumors through private messages in the last 24 hours. She ended her message with a link to a story titled #GatesDivorce, some vicious people rumored to vilify an innocent Chinese girl. So is this trying to make her look really bad? Why is there even rumors in the first place? Is she somebody who is, constantly around Mr. B? I don't know. Dex, do we know why they're accusing this woman? Is she like around them all the time? Do we know?
Well, I mean, we keep hearing, we're hearing all sorts of stories on this. One of the stories going out, and I don't know if it's actually her, but I've heard that there's a girlfriend involved. And so there's like these weekend getaways is the rumor, the alleged rumor. So with Bill. So I don't know. This story, I mean, to think that you're in any way, shape involved, that it would not blow up is kind of crazy, because this is like probably the biggest power couple in the world that either a lot of people really admire or a lot of people really dislike. And everybody's sort of laser focused on what's going to happen, because everybody thinks that there's this potential for other information to come out. There's a potential for, more sinister things to happen. There's all sorts of angles that everyone's jockeying for right now on this topic.
I just want to know, did they put a fan on her for this picture? How did they get the wispy hair? And at least the tabloids used that picture instead of other pictures, right? As far as...
Well, I want to put it out there right now that I had nothing to do with their breakup. So for all those crazy rumors that are out there, Dax wasn't involved.
Okay, well, first off, we saw you with Mrs. M and in the pool room with the wrench.
Oh my gosh, this is going to go viral.
Either way, there's going to be a lot of BS stories. One thing that I do agree, so somebody pointed out that there was this creator that was basically, I guess, I don't know, that the person never says like my name, but somebody pointed out and they said, this guy's like talking mass crap about you. Never saw this person actually mention me by name. And I ended up watching for a few minutes, and I was basically found that this guy, his whole show is turned into talking about other creators and not to believe people. One thing I did agree with him on, though, is that there are so many stories that come out now that are just so completely fake that people run with and share like wildfire. We have to be careful in that. I do agree with this person who's apparently, talking trash about me. I do agree with him on one thing, that we can't let, you got to be really careful and at least try to check your sources, because it makes everything worse for everybody. If you enjoy this kind of content, when we all go nuts and share crazy, crazy stuff like, they were caught in a room, drinking blood or something like that, and it has no backup, that kind of stuff then gets pointed out by different groups, and then they try to cancel all of us. They already canceled several groups that are completely deleted off the internet. Again, I could see why this person has actually had that opinion, because they were one of the canceled people. So I get that. I understand why this person feels that way. And now, I mean, the person is basically just negative and spends the whole time, instead of teaching people how to do stuff, teaching people not to believe anybody. He just doesn't trust anybody. So I try to look at it from people's views, and honestly, this is going to cause a ton of just fake stuff to come out. So I would just ask you guys to pay attention, because I'm sure there is some nefarious stuff behind this couple, but who knows if it's this. Make sure to be careful sharing crap. I mean, people really do just put out crazy claims so they can either get bigger for 10 seconds or whatever it may be. We have already gone through the cycle of getting, kicked down and held back. So it's once you do, there's not much point to any of that. So again, I hope that people realize that there is more at stake than with having people being able to create content like this. Everybody is a part of this, viewers as well. You guys all have to participate in trying to keep this safe. We have to be able to speak our mind and ask questions. All right, and Dex, we've watched over the last 2 years people around us just dropping like flies, and we've been extremely careful, and it's very frustrating. It's a lot of work to do this. Go ahead.
I was just going to say it's a weekly event, at least, if not daily sometimes.
Oh, and we're starting a new segment called Canceled. We're picking out, especially like after that weather guy who misspoke, and it's like Gina Carano and all these people. It's like a weekly occurrence that either a brand or a person is getting canceled. It's unbelievable, and we have to help stop this. People got to speak up and say, I don't have a problem with this. And people are afraid because they don't want their friends to think that they are, whatever word is now attached to speaking out critically of these like cancel culture things. I mean, they are saying that cancel culture doesn't even exist. That's cuckoo. We never saw this 5 years ago even. Now it is. As far as these guys, there's much more weirdness to come, I'm sure. Alex Gallagher says there are several reports that M said that B was facing trouble in balancing work and family. Does she disagree with something he's done? I don't know. That's a good point as far as the guys, but he stepped down. That's the thing too. He stepped down from Microsoft's board so he could be more focused on the other stuff. So I don't know. Maybe that was the beginning, like when they were trying to patch things up. Who knows? I don't know. Bill started the Great Reset within his own home. Oh, the dedication, says Mississippi State flag defender. Backwoods Ingenuity at South Carolina just added a firing squad option to death row due to lack of lethal injection availability. Stay safe and question everything. That's right. That is really crazy and creepy. We're going to talk about the Pentagon tracking an out-of-control Chinese rocket, of course, expected to crash into Earth real quick, but I do want to put this out there. Again, make sure to go check out EMP Shield. It is one of our affiliates. Every time that you go and protect yourself against an EMP, it helps us. Not only do you get a discount, so you are paying less than what you would if you just went through them, but you are also helping our channel financially. A small commission goes to us, and then we can keep making this content for you. Again, it does help a lot. Thank you, everybody that has already purchased one or ended up going through their site through our code. Again, you can go to marfugelnews.com/EMP. This is the same company that has worked with DOD, DHS, and now DEMSO, officially protecting the Texas grid, or helping. So again, it actually will help you protect all of your devices. There's a device, the best-selling one is for their car. This one will make sure that if you do, unfortunately, catch an EMP wherever you are, that you won't be stuck on the side of the road and your car will run after an EMP, or the natural kind, a CME. Again, that's marfugelnews.com/EMP. Again, thank you everybody that has supported us to this day. We really do appreciate it, and we are trying to expand, so thank you. All right, and then this whole Chinese rocket expected to crash into Earth, this is pretty wild because this thing is 30 meters or 90 feet. This is a 9-story building spinning around or going across the plane, whatever you want to call it. It's flying over. Whether you believe it or not, something is going to come in and possibly smash into something. Will it hit a populated area? That's the big question that they are asking right now. If you have not been caught up on this, this was, of course, a piece of Chinese technology, a Chinese rocket, and it's out of control and expected to re-enter Earth's atmosphere this weekend. The U.S. Space Command is tracking the trajectory, Defense Department spokesperson Mike Howard said in a statement cited by CNN, and expects the Chinese Long March 5B rocket's appearance around May 8th. It says Howard said that the rocket's exact entry point won't be known until within hours of re-entry, but daily updates on its location will be provided by the Space Track website. So me and Dex are going to be tracking that and see if we can find a relatively, somewhat accurate location of where it may come in. They said it could basically come in on half of the planet of Earth. I mean, they even said it could possibly hit in New York. This thing could hit in urban New York, right in the middle of the city. We don't know. I highly doubt that. It will probably land in the ocean somewhere, but we're going to be watching it. Or is this a setup for something else to smash into us? I don't know. Aerospace.org is also tracking the rocket, and as of Tuesday evening, was predicting a May 8th arrival around 9:30 p.m. Pacific time through predictions, though predictions may change. Sorry, I can't read tonight. I'm just flubbering up. It says, but don't panic. Jonathan McDowell, an astrophysicist at the Astrophysics Center at Harvard University, told CNN that the risk that it will hit you is incredibly tiny. And so I would not lose 1 second of sleep over this. So again, the whole world shouldn't worry because this thing is a 9-story building careening down to us. But the odds of it hitting, it's probably way greater than winning the lotto to be killed by this thing. But could it be a spectacular thing? Here's one suggestion for anybody and everybody. Because we do have such a huge audience, I would say remember how to get access to your phone quickly. If you end up seeing this go over, it most likely will just keep going over the horizon. If you see this, get video of it and send it to us immediately at marfugelnews.com/playmyvideo. We will not only credit you, but we will make sure to put your video up on front and make a video out of it. I bet you some of us are going to get video of this. So make sure to have your camera ready. A lot of phones, if you double tap the power button, it will go straight into the camera. Dex, if you have anything to say about it as far as the Chinese rocket, then go ahead. Otherwise, I'm going to move on.
Well, yeah, I mean, the next story is also on this, but it's a little crazy that this is happening. We've seen issues like this in the past, but it's very infrequent. But it seems like it's happened a few times with China. So a little troublesome there with the more they continue to put up into the sky and or into the atmosphere.
Because obviously, if this hits somewhere in the United States or in Europe is going to be pissed if it hits there, or if it hits here, or if it's in South America, wherever this thing hits, and if it does damage, they're now talking about kind of what would happen. It says White House mum on whether it will punish China if plummeting rocket causes damage. The White House is hoping it will not have to confront China over its space activities as a huge rocket threatens to plummet to Earth this weekend. White House Secretary Jen Psaki declined to commit the United States to seeking compensation from China should debris from one of its 100-foot, 46,000-pound Long March B rockets cause any destruction when it's projected to return to Earth this Saturday. So it's pretty it's pretty simple. If this thing smacks into a city or if it hits a urban metropolis area, that would be bad. And think about if, just say, hypothetically, the worst case scenario happened and it hit people, what kind of compensation could you get for that? I don't think it would start a conflict over this, but who knows? We'd, of course, refer to the advice and guidance from the U.S. Space Command and Department of Defense and others, Psaki told reporters on Wednesday. We are certainly tracking its location through U.S. Space Command, and hopefully it's not the outcome that we are working through. Wait a second. She said, hopefully that's not the outcome that we're working through. Okay.
Well, and here's the other thing to think about. If they're actually tracking it, I wonder if this is an opportunity, and we'll see this, if it is going to hit an area that they try to intercept it or do something with it, right?
I was going to say
it's going to be moving pretty fast, but
So why don't we
knows?
have a laser or something? Because, even 3 or 4 years ago when I started this channel, China and Russia were developing a laser that could knock out space junk. So when this thing comes in, wouldn't this be a good opportunity to test some of our defense measures, like a missile hitting a missile or something like that? And could they not smash it into many tiny pieces so it does less damage? Or if it's coming in an atmosphere and a trajectory, would that cause more problems? Because then you would have smaller objects causing a broader area of damage. I don't know. It sounds like it's a bunch of steel and metal and projectables. It says the U.S. will work with international partners to promote responsible space behaviors as debris becomes more of a concern. So their Flying Well rocket going to get a ticket there. And then we have the Minuteman III intercontinental ballistic missile test aborted due to an undisclosed issue. So basically they did not disclose why they canceled this test. Who knows? Maybe it could have been something came out of space and lasered it. Who knows? It says the aborted launch at Vandenberg Air Force Base comes amid debate about the future of the ICBM force. It says the U.S. Air Force's latest Minuteman III intercontinental ballistic missile test ended in failure after a ground abort prior to launch. It says, while the cause is under investigation, the news comes at a time when a debate is raging in Congress and elsewhere about whether to proceed with developing a replacement for the missile. Remember that most of the technology now that they have can knock these right out. It says, which has been used since the early 70s. The unarmed LGM-30G Minuteman III intercontinental ballistic missile was due to be test launched from Vandenberg Air Force Base, California on May 5th between 12:15 and 6:15 Pacific time. Air Force Global Strike Command, which is such a cool name, one of the very few cool names in the military, right? Air Force Global Strike Command has confirmed that it's, quote, assessing the potential to reschedule the launch. No comment yet has been made about the nature of the ground abort, but we can only really even say if it was a malfunction at this time. It could have been a technical failure of the missile or its launch system, or it could have involved the tracking system, loss, or broken communication. Really could be anything. It could have been a bird hit it or something and it would screw up its trajectory. We don't know. If you have any comments about this, or if you know anything about it that would be helpful, you can, of course, comment down below. And then Mississippi, thank you again. Mark Sketch, longtime Fugel fam, says it's the same in the UK. All items are being drastically reduced. I think it may have something to do with the sugar tax. That very well could be too. Brian Lafole, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Martin Benjamin, I appreciate your support. You can always write a message there. And then Rapture Watcher Jesus is Coming Soon says, hi there, y'all, Marfugel family. This is desperate times we live in. Lots of faith and prayers. In Jesus' name, amen, amen. God's blessing upon you. And, of course, Mark Sketch said again, whoa, you didn't read out my super chat, LL. Well, that didn't work out too soon. Great show. Been here since you had just a couple of 100 subs in your kitchen. Thanks for all you do, all fam. Well, thank you, Mark Sketch, and again, appreciate it. And then there are several reports. Okay, we got that one. Thank you, everybody that supports the channel. We really do appreciate you. All right, and then over on DLive, lots of really awesome people are coming. We have tons of new followers. Thank you, everybody, for joining. Gas Electric, Johnny Doom, Wish Jen, Bear Claws. We have Scooby-Doo Do-Right, Johnny Doom, Lisa K23, Texas Rob says can't stay. Just needed to drop the car off. Well, thank you, Texas Rob. I appreciate that. And then Toad Man, appreciate you as well. And Lisa K23 says, van life, more and more living in RVs. Actually, I think as far as like van life, we've helped a couple van life channels. Van life may be a YouTube niche that might be going up very soon here. And then Grace for You Too and
that
Tino
niche has taken off, Adam. and by the way, 1 million RVs have been added this year. I think I said this before, but that's a huge number.
Wait, so the actual production of RVs has gone up?
Yeah. There was 1 million new RV owners. So the entire RV audience that owned RVs grew by 1 million in this past year. That's huge. And it's so bad that people who have RVs can't find destinations, they have to book like a year out to try and get a campground site. And if
You
you're
know-
trying to go to one of the national parks, you're it's so bad. This one guy created software that you can like try to book a place, and the computer will sit there and try for days and days and days to rebook, hoping someone cancels and slide in and get you this reservation.
So you're saying he created a bot to try to get spots in these things. I wonder if that has anything to do with the boating market. I have a friend who has like a $16,000 Bayliner type thing. It's a boat he takes fishing, and he was told by the salesman, which is like a car sales place. You know, both places, they get commission on taking your used stuff in. He goes, hey, we would basically used a really horrible word, says we would R you if we took that in. And he goes, you could sell that on the private market for 17,000. And he goes, we wouldn't give you 10, basically. And he said that right now you can't even keep stuff on the floor. At that time, my friend said that there was no boats on the floor. They did not have a single boat to sell except for a $350,000 Chris Craft. So they cannot keep boats on. I wonder if people are going and living on boats because it's cheaper rent to maybe more. I know it's not cheaper. It's probably more expensive, but I just wonder if people are looking at the option of living on the water or going somewhere remote and living on a boat. I don't know. If you think about it, it would be kind of cool as far as, if you had to live outside of an apartment or outside of a house. It would be, I don't know. I think it would be cooler than living in an RV as living on a boat. Whatever is going on, it's definitely going faster and faster. Right now, I think that it's going to get much worse, and it's going to come without notice, and everybody is going to go, whoa, how could it have gotten worse than what it already has? It's going to come, and by it, I mean world-changing events are all going to happen at the same time. So I hope that everybody realizes that part of the show is just to get you mentally prepared for anything, whether that be an earthquake, whether it be a hurricane, a tornado, a sinkhole opening up in your front yard, whatever it may be. I hope that people are just preparing themselves, have extra stuff, have extra water, have extra food, of course, have extra plans. People don't think about this, but have plans to go somewhere else if things get bad inside the city or outside the city, wherever it may be that you have to protect your family. You might want to look in planning. Planning is one of the best things, though. Military, they drill over and over and over and over again on the same scenarios to where it is, muscle memory. It's just like a gymnast doing backflips or cartwheels. They do it thousands of times to the point where they could do it with their eyes closed. You need to be the same way about prepping for your family, because right now there's a lot of stuff that is on the horizon for the human race. And I say that not in the U.S., not in UK, not in Australia, everywhere. The entire world, I believe, is going to change just in the next few years. So I hope people are listening. We get commenters saying, oh, what have they said that has come true? We actually called this thing that we're all wearing masks for. We called it so specifically, we have whole shows on it, timestamped 4 months before it started. And that it was coming soon, and that they knew it was coming soon, and that there was proof they knew it was coming soon from the actual agency which is now in charge of the world. So I guess that's a good one. We're not always right. We don't always predict everything, but we have always corrected ourselves if we're not. I believe that this time we are headed towards a direction that has been headed in for years, and now it's finally coming to fruition. If you agree, let me know. If you disagree, let me know. Carolina Route 74 at Adam Dex. Appreciate all you do. Best news. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. PMC 2020, Hexagonal Peach. Thank you, PMC. I really do appreciate you. And Burma, Dunburkus, and then, of course, Barbara Rowe. Thank you, everybody, for joining at this time. All right, and then White House official warns about significant downsides to pledging to defend Taiwan. Dex, do you want to give your opinion on this? As far as we've been talking a lot about, of course, the scenario with, of course, Ukraine and Taiwan possibly getting taken at the same time.
Yeah, so this, this general statement sort of kind of goes, whoa, wait, what are you doing? We're not going to. But I think really what they're trying to say is, hey, we like to maintain this ambiguous position so that nobody really knows what we're going to do. And maybe that helps prevent some sort of action from happening. On one hand, that's one way to look at it. And that's the way they're sort of positioning this. On the other hand, it's like, okay, well, are we soft pedaling? Are we back pedaling? Are we, what are we really doing here as it relates to, we know for a fact, and China has said that it's their mission and their goal is to reunite Taiwan with China. So that's, that is a very known position from China. And it's been our position in the past to sort of promote their democracy and promote their independence. So, this sort of is an interesting position that we're taking. Now they're saying again, it's, well, if we can be ambiguous here, then they won't, because if we set a red line, then we create a red line for them to cross. And then that sort of forces us to do something. So on one hand, you sort of get it. And it's kind of a very soft, squishy position to take, if you ask me.
And it's exactly kind of what we talked about before, is saying how this could play out to where we basically back off from supporting. We have publicly said we would support Ukraine. We publicly said, hey, we'll be there for whatever. But behind the scenes, like one of our friends who was on the front lines of this basically told when they had all of the troops, and again, I don't know how many troops are still there, but it's definitely not changed as much as people think. All of the vehicles are still there, all of the tanks, all of the forward operating base hospitals, everything is still there. They said that they would pull all the troops out by, of course, I want to say May 1st. They said that they were all going to be pulled back. I don't know if that has happened. We haven't got much confirmation of that. But I do know that they said that secretly, on a military level, that everybody was coming in to back up Ukraine in the way of saying, hey, we can't help you if they actually come in and invade, but we can help you by talking to Russia, offering money, offering trade deals that they would normally not get otherwise if they back up. This was something that was basically told to us and not put out to the public. And the day after that, all of a sudden they announced, and this was at a point, remember when we said that information, they were putting 150,000 troops, and the same guy who said we're pulling back was the same one that says this is a red line, we're about to go, nuts. Do you remember that, Dex? One day, right when we put out that information, all of a sudden it did a 180 out of nowhere. So again,
yeah, because they were all about it. They were like, don't cross the line. We're doing this. It's going to be, it'll be the end of it all. We're doing this. And then, oh, never mind. It was just an exercise.
Yep. And again, you heard it here first, and then boom, 180. So, but the one thing that we talked about is us backing out and saying, we can't actually do this because it would be a world conflict. But who knows? There is so much show going on right here. People think, oh, well, it's all one big show and they're all secretly friends. That's great. But guess what? They could all secretly be friends and still have a world-level conflict go on because they're going to be sitting in their cushy places where they know no conflict is going to happen. Heck, think about this scenario where you're in a full-on exchange with China or Russia or both, and they let each other know pre-hand where everything is going down, and their leaders and everybody else that's important in that actual circle running things, they're all in a safe place. They might be in, Fiji or something, or they might be in a castle in NZ. Who knows? But they'll be there for when it all settles. When the dust settles, they'll be fine. So do you think that they're not going to make the orders because they care so much about us? I would have to say it's whether you believe or not that they actually look at us like herded sheep. And if you've known anything, or if you've heard about how actual elites in this level that is so beyond what we know, like if you have an itch, you're like, oh, I want to buy a jet. Let me have 3. That's the kind of people we're talking about. Oh, I don't want a normal boat. Can I have a 2-mile long underwater sub yacht? But it would be 0.1% of my total money? Sure. Those are the kind of people we're talking about here. Where they can buy a $2 billion sub yacht and stay underwater indefinitely during an exchange. Those are the kind of people that are running things. So don't think that they care about you at Jimmy John's or at Applebee's. They don't consider us people. That's my opinion. I should clarify. I ran to the store. Releases horrifying fake Ganda video showing the U.S. blow up as a GOP senator pushes Mr. B to take action. Now, if you couldn't figure that out, you can read. Horrifying fake footage of the U.S. being blown up was released by I Ran to the Store as JB comes under increasing pressure to take action from a GOP senator. It says the video leaked on state-controlled TV in I Ran to the Store, and of course on Sunday, before Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei's speech, depicted a missile being fired at the D.C. building is engulfed in flames. Now, do we have I guess a screenshot of this, or is it on the original? I know we have a picture.
I think it's definitely on the original. I don't know that we can. I'll grab you a screenshot real quick. Hang on.
Let me hold on. Let me see if I can pull this up without frying the bandwidth here.
Yeah, the thumbnail on the video on the article will show that screenshot.
Okay, this is as far as we need to go, really. Of course, you know what that building is, and you kind of know what the scenario is going on here. Remember that same country, during the last admin, they took out Soleimani, and they took him out because publicly T-Man said that they were planning something that made September of 2001 look like chicken feed. That it was literally 10, 50 times bigger than anything that happened in 2001 on of course, September. And remember, they didn't get the second-hand guy. There was Soleimani and his right-hand man, the second in command. They wanted to get them simultaneously. If you don't remember that hit, they took him out with a drone strike. They missed the second guy. So we have no information as far as, have they continued this plan? Have they continued their plans of doing this event? And is this part of kind of what a teaser of what they've done? Since then, they have now released that they have their Missile City. A Missile City is, of course, their underground bunkers, and they've released photos of thousands and thousands of ICBMs and missiles and all sorts of weapons, right? So do they have something organized? On top of that, that same country...
Including electronic. Remember? That was the other thing.
Including
electronic stuff.
Including electronic warfare, which there's a reason. So there's a reason why we have the affiliates we do. It's because it's something that is ingrained in both of our beliefs. I believe that if EMP doesn't end up happening somewhere, that a CME will hit us. So again, it's something that could potentially save lives. So there's no qualms with, working with something like that. As far as this goes, we know from the past that we've seen, they've actually told us on smaller, as far as like smaller channels of information that have come through that have been verified, that what was it? Of all the people coming in, and of course they were building this fortified wall, right? And that stopped. Of all the people coming in under this current crisis, that 1 out of 100 was a sleeper cell from that country. So where in the heck is that being addressed? And how do you address something that you don't know exists? When you sit on a public bus, you have no idea who you're sitting next to. My uncle, for instance, he was 3 doors down from Ted Bundy in the apartment complex. He walked past him every day. He didn't know he was a crazy killer with people in his fridge or whatever. That's the kind of thing that that was the guy with stuff in the fridge, but he didn't know. So how do we know what to attack if we don't even know, what their intentions are? They probably know, though, somehow. I guess they should, since they're tapping everything that we have, listening, watching my my laptop camera right now, most likely. So what do you think about it? Give me a comment down below. What do you think about this video? If you want to watch this actual video, go to marfugelnews.com. All of our content tonight is actually available there. All of the original articles, all of the sources. You can go check our work. You can correct us if we make a mistake. And Dex, if you have anything else to say about this, as far as,
well, they have been very good at releasing these Ganda style videos. So we've seen, remember what was it? I think an aircraft carrier that they had in one of their videos. So we've seen these before from them, but it's also a good indicator of what their thought process is and what they're thinking.
Wasn't it them as well who had an actual mock aircraft carrier that they built? It was like a fake aircraft carrier. Was that?
Yeah.
Them.
They brought it out, floated it out, and then shot it to pieces. They did that, and they also made a video of ours, just like this, engulfed in flames.
That's right. So, on top of that, you have all of the cyber intrusions that are happening. You have all of the hacks that have happened, and then you are having all of the manipulations of all of the social media systems. Everybody's public opinion is so many different directions that nobody knows where to focus. And half of my viewers, I'm sure, disagree with half of what I say because there is no focus. Everybody has got such a wide spectrum of disbelief and belief that nobody knows which way is actually right. That's why people probably don't only watch me, they watch 10 other people, and then other people contradict whatever it may be. I guess our only saving grace is that we try to take as much information from as many people as we can and make sure that we're not just taking 10 people that saw a YouTube video and say, oh, that's what happened. We make sure to source our stuff. On top of that, we have actual military in our group, over 500. At one point, when we had our Discord up, before it was wrongfully taken down, we had 500 plus actual members of former military or current military. In fact, we've had callers say that they are watching from base. Which again, thank you everybody out there, service members doing your duty there. Sometimes duties that you don't even like to be doing. All right, moving on. Doctors investigate mystery brain disease in Canada. Just another instance of this. We've talked about this last week, I believe. Doctors in Canada have been coming across patients showing symptoms similar to that of Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease, a rare fatal condition that attacks the brain. But when they took a closer look, what they found left them stumped. Almost 2 years ago, Roger Ellis collapsed at home with a seizure on his 40th wedding anniversary. And it says that in his early 60s, Mr. Ellis, who was born and raised around New Brunswick, bucolic Acadian Peninsula, had been healthy until that June and was enjoying his retirement after decades working as an industrial mechanic. It says his son, Steve Ellis, says that after that fateful day, his father's health rapidly declined. He had delusions, hallucinations, weight loss, aggression, repetitive speech, he says. At one point, he couldn't even walk. So in the span of 3 months, we were being brought to a hospital to tell us that they believed he was dying, but no one knew why. Roger Ellis's doctors first suspected Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease, CJD, is a human prion disease, a fatal and rare degenerative brain disorder that sees patients present with symptoms like failing memory, behavioral changes, and difficulties with coordination. It says one widely known category is a variant CJD, which is linked to eating contaminated meat infected with mad cow disease. CJD also belongs to a wider category of brain disorders like Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, and ALS, in which protein in the nervous system become misfolded and aggregated. It says, but Mr. Ellis' CJD test came back negative, as did the barrage of other tests his doctors put him through as they tried to pinpoint the cause of this mystery illness. It says his son says that the medical team did their best to alleviate his father's varying symptoms, but were still left with a mystery. What is behind Mr. Ellis' decline? In March of this year, the younger Mr. Ellis came across a possible, if partial, answer. Radio Canada, the public broadcaster, obtained a copy of the public health memo that had been sent to the province's medical professionals warning of a cluster of patients exhibiting the unknown degenerative brain disease, and it says that the first thing I said is, "This is my dad." He recalls, Roger Ellis is now believed to be one of those afflicted with the illness and is under the care of Dr. Alera Marrero. It says that the neurologist with Moncton's Dr. George's L. Dumont University Hospital Center says doctors first came across this baffling disease in 2015. At the time, it was one patient, an isolated and atypical case. It says, but since then, there have been more patients like the first, enough now that doctors have been able to identify the cluster as a different condition or syndrome not seen before. This almost sounds like a zombie flick.
Well, it's interesting you say that, because the zombie deer disease, which is a prion-related disease, this is also, they're looking at it from they can't find the traces of the prion, but it looks like that. And going back to the model that it's similar to what happened to people that would eat contaminated meat from mad cow disease. So this was one of the articles we had talked about when we did that alert. And if you don't have the Marfugel alert, you can go sign up for it and you'll get it. You'll get the links to all the things about the meat and what's going on. Really good article. You should go get that. Just go to marfugelnews.com and click on alerts and sign up. It'll be sent right to you. But this is still going on. They still don't know what's happening. And it's obviously becoming a bigger issue because it's being reported on a lot more widely now. And as we think about, what the effects are, where this may be coming from, we've seen this come from meat before. And if this continues, we may be looking at, something along those lines. And if it's not, then that's fine. But, this is something we should be paying attention to. It is very little. It was very, lightly reported, I guess I should say, about a week or two ago. And now it's starting to be picked up a little bit more in the mainstream and a little bit more attention on it, but it's definitely back page.
And that's the kind of stuff that we like to follow, because that back page stuff soon becomes front page stuff. Kara Fusler says, how about those energy attacks they were talking about? Have you covered it? Just got here, LOL. Kara, it is now the 5th, so 5 days ago now we covered it. And most likely before a lot of people, because we are watching the back page stuff, just like we watched the Russian and Ukraine situation before anybody was reporting on it. And that is because of how we do things. I think that this is a system that, again, that I believe has been working really well. When you go to our website, all you had to type in is directed energy, and you'll see that show 5 days ago, they turned it into a gated community. Check this out. You can even click on it and then see any of the articles from that day. And you'll see one of the earliest articles about that. And I believe this is what you're talking about. U.S. reveals suspected energy weapon attacks near T-Man, right? So we actually covered that in depth on that show if you want to go back and watch that. But isn't that cool? You can search a key term like that. In fact, energy. And there was 3 shows that we have related news from. So a lot of people are using this now. We've seen that everybody is using the search bar, which is really great, because then you can go back 2 years and see if we said something about that subject. So Kara Fusler, great question. As far as the energy stuff, I know it's probably happening right now as we speak. I believe that the 2 amphibious assault carriers were a part of that. That's just my personal opinion. Both of them caught fire for 5 days. Both of them were the exact same kind of carriers, amphibious assault carriers, which have the back open so boats and things can go inside and out. And then both of them caught fire in port months apart. And ours was retired. I don't know about the Chinese version, if they did that. Jeff P. says, Lake Mead dropping 3 inches every day. At that rate, in 112 days, August 26, 2021, will hit 1050 feet. 1,050 feet, then Hoover Dam will no longer create power. Check out Lake Mead water level, emergency in 12 days. Jeff P., great comment, and thank you for letting us know about that. That is one thing that we were not up on. That's exactly why it's awesome to have great people like Jeff P. in the audience here. If you guys haven't checked out Jeff P.'s channel, he's over 50,000 subscribers or something like that. He could be at 100 by now. Again, go check in with him. He does a lot of stuff about the sun and other videos. And then we've got Dolly. Thank you for your support tonight. Jason Valls or Valles. Thank you so much. Says thanks, Marf and Adam. Jeff P., thank you for your support. You know you don't have to do that. Again, we try to rotate all of our friends' links in the chat. Martin Benjamin, thank you so much. Rapture Watcher, Jesus is coming soon. He says, of course, desperate times is indeed. And then, of course, homesteading in the heartland. Marf and Dex and AstraZeneca exec. 3 weeks ago or so from Prizon's doctors expected as his brain went to mush. February NIH study shows that 19 is the V is causing prions. That's crazy. I will look into that, homesteading in the heartland. I did not know that either. Man, what a crazy set of events. And then Iberian Girl, thank you so much for your support over on DLive. Defrustrated, Carolina Roots 74. Thank you, and thank you. Again, Pam B, thank you, says, hey, shows are great, never leave. And then a big shout out to Gail S. Thank you for your support. Everybody that goes over to PayPal during the show, really appreciate you. Again, like Survival Living, aka CFP. Katie N says, my best friend will be watching your next live show for the very first time. Could you please give her a birthday shout out? Happy birthday, Katie's friend. There. Mrs. Danny, I want to wish you the happiest birthday ever from Miss Katie. There you go. And then, of course, no problem, Katie Ann. Thank you so much for your support over on PayPal. And Sarah Shearer says, keep doing what you're doing. Well, thank you so much. Again, Gail S., thank you for your support. Thank you for supporting Independent. We do not have a multi-channel network. Again, we are on our own out here, and we are up against huge groups and secret trolls. So thank you. Dex, as far as the web-only content, actually, you did put that video that caught.
Oh yeah,
in
grab
Tacoma.
that. That's in Screener, right? And I did take the audio out. Just make sure it's turned down, but I'm 99.9% sure there's no audio in it.
Okay, good. So my daughter caught this last night and called me freaking out. This is my 15-year-old now. Sorry. Let's see here. Check this out. I was really proud of her for this. She doesn't like wearing her glasses, but doesn't have the best vision. Thought that it was having a scrolling message. Now, once you see it kind of scroll down, it goes into focus for a couple seconds and you can clearly see it. Her and her friends thought that it was a blimp, thought that it was something, projecting what. In a second here, you'll see it go right past the stars. Pretty amazing. If I saw this in person, I'd be like, this is super awesome. See this? Right there. You see it just flying by stars. Imagine if you saw that in person and didn't know what Starlink was. That's exactly what happened to her last night. And I mean, they tell us it's Starlink, right? They've got pictures exactly like this of Starlink. So I do believe it is Starlink. But what if it wasn't? What if just hypothetically, what if that was something that they came up with to explain that, right? It's so crazy looking. And then apparently after this, they split up and go off in their own thing. So after they launch a bunch of these, the explanation is that they launch a bunch of them all together, and then they slowly start to use their rockets or whatever and find their own trajectory or their own orbit. And then they're separated, so it's just like a little dot like we normally see. But when you see that in person, that's pretty crazy looking.
Yeah, that's what they're claiming is that's the early stage, right? Right after launch, right after they put them out, they're all grouped together. Because when we've seen all the other Starlink reportings, it's usually like 30 looks like 30 stars in a row, and not like that row, but like really spread out, and you just see them go all the way across the sky, one right after another. And I've seen that here. We've gotten chances to see that. So I don't know. I've never seen it this way, but that's what the press is calling it, is they're saying it's Starlink, and it coincides with their launch. But yeah, it's really a great catch there with your daughter. Awesome video.
Yeah, and of course she was super excited. I could hear her friends in the background just screaming like, "Oh my gosh, what is it?" At first they thought it was a blimp, then they thought it was possibly we didn't know. Dex and I were looking up stuff, and we found what did you find? Night Riders? I did not know this was a thing.
Yeah. I was going down the path of, maybe it was written, skywriting in digital form, but it was the wrong angle and you just couldn't see it. And there's actually planes that have these big digital boards on them where they do that, but it didn't actually match up. It was too long and heading in the wrong direction to be a plane, the way that works. But yeah.
And to compare it, the way that she said it was like if you just went like this and looked up and held your hand. This is how big it was even out in space. So just giant. And when you look down, when she looks down to the street, you can see that the street is this big, and then looks up and this thing's that big. So imagine the perspective of that. Pretty, just amazing job. I love you. I love you, baby, and great job. You are an amazing, amazing, amazing girl. Gonna grow up and be an amazing, amazing woman. Already almost there. All right. Uper Viking, the most important thing that you have built is the Fugel fam. This shout out is for each family member. I love and appreciate one of you, each and every one of you. God bless. Dolly, thank you so much for your support. And then I do believe there was somebody I missed down below. It was April Sheldon. April Sheldon, thank you for your support. I apologize for missing that. Great stuff. All right, Dex, the web-only content, there's some really kind of crazy stuff there.
Yeah, we keep saying we're covering the Arizona stuff on there. Some interesting things happening there. Also, the Book of Face has come out and basically decided to continue their ban against T-Man, and he came out and had a very curt response to that as well, and that's on there. So lots of other information that we don't normally cover in the show here, or can't cover in the show here. So definitely go there, marfugelnews.com, look for this thumbnail, click on it, scroll down, you'll see all of the other content. And if you've missed the last couple of days, they're there too. So go check them out. Did
you put the part about Florida passing that bill in yesterday's or today's?
Well, I don't think he signed it yet. The one I put yesterday was he signed the one about CV. But the other one we were talking about, I think it's on his desk to be signed. I don't know that it's been signed.
There's a bill in Florida basically stating that if you have so many viewers or if you're a politician that you cannot be censored or they will be fined by social media giants. But one little thing there is they put in a loophole that says if you own a theme park, then you can get out of it, which is pretty crazy because if you consider that that basically puts Disney that they can do it, right? They can, cancel culture people, but that would not exclude so far the Book of Face or the Witter of Tweet. But again, are we going to see those two acquire theme parks? Think about it. They can, they could, and they probably will. what a weird loophole that is. And obviously, Disneyland or Disney World and the theme parks there kind of have that local government by the cojones. And it is a huge, huge multi-billion-dollar money flowing into the country. Really, the country is at the debt of some of these theme parks because they've got people traveling from all over the world bringing money into that location. So, local government there, of course, is going to do whatever they want, really. So think about that there's entities that bring in so much money that they are technically kind of above the law. I mean, think about this. No one's ever perished in a Disney World, technically, right? Or shouldn't say technically. They bring that person out to the parking lot and then declare it or something like that. Isn't that crazy? So that they can say that no one has ever perished inside the park. And if you have that many people gathered, it happens all the time. In fact, there was something on the 6th where if you have 2 million people are going to perish. You're going to have ambulances responding and taking people away. But of course, in that case, you can add that to the number and make it extreme. Anyways, thank you everybody for following with us, and thank you everybody over on DLive. Dex, can you read the top 5 supporters over on DLive?
Sure thing. So in the number 1 position, we have Vido925, and then we have number 2 is Fairy Spirit 2112, and then number 3 is Texas Rob 49. Number 4 is Jammer1, and number 5 is Angry Mimi.
A big shout out to Gone Girl 777, Susan Donahue, and Sarah Shell. Thank you so much, you guys, and I really appreciate everybody that supports the show. Honestly, thank you, and thank you. Defrustrated and everybody else over at the DLive crew, thank you. End Times, thanks for popping up before the end of the show. I do appreciate all of you. It is now time for the shoutro. It's not an outro. It's not a shout out. It's a shoutro. With 1.4 thousand watching over on DLive, I appreciate each and every one of you. I'm going to head over to the chat here in a second. Thank you, everybody, for sticking with us. If it cuts out on YouTube, it does continue over on DLive. If that's your bag, you can follow it. Much love. Be safe. Be prepared. And Marf out. Forget everything you once knew. I'm going to tell you the truth. Find it right here on Marfugal News. Forget everything you once knew. I'm going to tell you the truth. Find it right here on Marfugal News. Forget everything you once knew. I'm going to tell you the truth. Find it right here on Marfugal News. Forget truth, and you will hear it right here on Marfugal News. Forget everything you once knew. We are going to tell the truth, and you will hear it right here on Marfugal News. Forget everything you once knew. We are going to tell the truth, and you will hear it right here on Marfugal News. I just want right in the lojo. I got a big bag like a dojo. Recalcitrant, on the mall, online, the rose ain't no. Hey, Queen BTP, got the Macy, got the Mercy Roll and the Mr. C, got the Gilly, gotta say goodnight with the Northern Joseph, Mrs. Marr, a caravan and the Grand Maravan. Bring it right back like a Grand Caravan. I'm about to bring the kiss the sky. The East, she's defrustrated and the buy. Right. And I'm bringing with the duck hawk. Alex got the goals, I better bring it back down like out the bow. Oh, I'm out. Donahue. Gotta bring it like love. Gonna bring it back like you got to love. Bring it right back like you got to love. Oh. Forget everything you want to. We are going to tell the truth, and you will hear it right here on Marfugal News. Forget everything you want to. We are going to tell the truth, and you will hear it right here on Marfugal News. Forget everything you want to. We are going to tell the truth, and you will hear it right here on Marfugal News. Sitting on a hill in the Jimmy Mix, I gotta bring it back down and I bring the peace. I got the Doug Bill and that Stephen, and the big man unicorn is 54. Room with the Wally and the Alex G, and the Red Sea and the Mrs. Enemy. I gotta bring it back like that backwoods ingenuity, Mississippi. Vito, gotta bring it on the news on the Vito. Gonna bring it on the Vito. Gotta bring it on the Vito. Gonna 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 bring it on the Vito. Vito. Got to say, tune in up, I'm mischievous. Because I try not to go send me. Bring it on the down low. Break it down, Juicy 420 on that stand-low. That chuggy gal, Poco Loco. Holiday kiss, I'll never miss her. Bring it back now, going on a sitter. Gonna get that babysitter. Like a Joe Biden on that biter. Bring it on down now, they will fight ya. Priscilla, luckiest follower. Bear car and everybody knows her. Fairy Spirit 1112. Fairy Spirit 2112. Thank you. Gail, never fail. Gail, never fail. Gail, never fail. Whoa. Gail, ass. Gail, ass. Gail, ass. Gonna bring a love on the Carolina roots and a Philippine heli like kissing on the juice, and I'm bringing more bear claws on the horn jacks. Gonna ring with the unicorn last. Oh, now I kiss the sky. I bring it, never ask why. Rapture and go it now. Cynthia, make the L. Gonna bring it on the back now. I'm gonna bring it on down with the back down. I got the April shot and Jerry Campanello. I'm gonna bid back down Jimmy Meeks and the Jello. Around the Mickey on that dog bill. I bring it with that going with Wally World. Hey now, got the Gone Girl 777. I straight out of Stockton, Bassmiller. I bring it back now, everybody getting now. I got the bright in the whole laser. I side with the who and the roll. So them oats in the mark sketch roll.